Hello, everyone. Yes, you're drifting. I'm drifting. How do we reclaim our potential? How do we reclaim our life? That's a big subject, right? So I promise I'm gonna fill you with so much information. I mean, that's what I like about the lives. The lives are lives. It's not AI. It's nothing else but you and me. And I just wanted to share a lot of thoughts that I've gathered in my heart and in my mind lately. So what I've realized is that we're all drifting, right? And so there's nothing negative about it. I mean, there's something negative about it, but as long as we don't continue to drift, the awareness is very important, right? So what do I mean by drifting? Drifting to me is like a big opponent. We have opponents in our life. Some can call it the D, right? Like the devil. And so there's a lot of things that can make you drift. It could be procrastination. It could be fear. It could be, and we'll learn about where it's coming from actually. It could be, just being so addicted to some of the substances, to be addicted to the things that we eat, to be addicted to some of the people or even harmful things that we know are not good for us, and we still continue to do it. And so the drift is really unconscious, most of the time, because I don't think that we really want to drift. And then sometimes we realize that we're drifting and it's very painful. And so that's what I was realizing lately is that, even now, like I almost didn't do it. Like I'm still talking about the opponent because I know this is happening for all of us. When we're drifting, we're losing our potential. We're losing our life. We're actually letting something on the outside dictate how the results we have. So and we feel bad about it. We feel frustrated. I don't know if you're like me, but I was really frustrated, and then I almost didn't do this live because it was the opponent again. And I'm like, no, I'm gonna stop this. So one thing I've realized is that a month ago about that, I went to celebrate a friend of mine. He just passed away. Actually, I just didn't even realize how it would make me emotional to think about it. But the point is that what I've realized is that this man didn't drift. This man was fully alive. And of course, we all have our little drift. But the point is that my friend, Mac, who I had the chance to be, playing hockey with him at least 12 years, at his celebration of life, there were probably, I saw 200 to 300 people. Can you imagine this? Like 200 to 300 people celebrating your life. And it really got me thinking about, wow, this person had an impact, had a true impact in people's life. And then I got to think about my own life, and I thought, am I making a big difference? Because what's the point? And then, in the drift and in all the doubts and the worries. And the thing is, when I talk about the drift, we're all drifting because the people are stressed. We see it everywhere. We see antidepressant. I think there's 16% of the population that's taking antidepressant. That's depressive, to say the least. And the thing is, it's not very complicated, I've realized, to come to a point where we're a little bit more happier in our life. And I'll tell you what it is a little bit later. But the point, to go back to my friend, I just thought, so what's the point? What's the point of being here? Like what? And then, you have your big dreams and you're thinking about something, and then the fear comes in. That's the opponent. That's the drift again, right? Like, who am I to think that big and to realize all of these things? Am I able to do it? Do I have the skills? Do I have the abilities? What are going to... Like, if I do that, if I change direction, then that means like I'm going to start all over again. Am I too old? Do I have enough knowledge? All of that shit that's happening. And then you realize, some people are buried right now and they're under the ground. So what do we do with this? What do we do with all of this? So to go back to the point of life, I'll share what I think. What I think is that we're not going to bring anything. We're not going to bring anything to the other realm. So we know that, okay, so am I going to just have millions of dollars and just for the fact of raising millions of dollars and go on the other side and say, yeah, I just raised all these millions and God's going to say, well, good job, but you didn't bring anything with you. How many people do you have at your celebration of life right now? Oh, not that many. So you didn't really make an impact then. Oh, yeah. Okay. So then the other question is like, okay, so I want to create an impact. How do I do this? And how do I stop drifting? The answer is very simple, is to be of service. Because then I realize, if I know, like, let's say I create all the millions, and that's what I want too. Like, I think, and for good reasons, because I want to create a kingdom for my future children, for my family, for creating an impact. And it's not to create for the ego side, but it's to create to share. Because I've realized if you have all the toys with you and you're a kid in the sandbox or something, like, you're gonna feel alone. Do you want to play that game alone with all of your toys? And then, we're going to remove your toys. One, you're going to be very unhappy about it. You're going to start to cry because you started to be defined by the toys and the material things in your life. Or you're going to be able to feel free inside and be so not content, but so grateful for the fact that you have toys. And now you want to play with other people. You want to share. You're like, hey, I've got this thing. Like, why don't we play together? Because I don't think that we're here on Earth to just play a game by ourselves and amass all of these toys for nothing. And so when I think about my friend, I'm thinking life is so precious. I was 61 and he made an impact on people's life. And I had another friend that passed away at 47, and that was all as a sudden, a little bit like my friend, but even younger. And here's another thing. To me, I think it's very important to understand these things. Where are we? Why are we here? Because 2 weeks ago, there was it's not a friend of mine, but it's someone that is doing a mastermind. And I thought everything was great. Like on a Tuesday, imagine that on a Tuesday, we're having a call, we're talking about different things, and he talks about the future. And then all of a sudden, and he has an event that was coming in September, big event, lots of people. And he sends an email on Friday, only 3 days after, to say, yeah, I'm closing doors. This thing is not going to happen anymore. I'm going to take care of my family. I'm going to take care of my health. And what I didn't even know is that on that Friday, some people were going to an event on the Monday. And this guy, almost like a death, just decided, I quit. I'm done. Like, I have other priorities in my life. And so I'm just realizing, wow, you can have all of the kingdom in the world, all of it, like really everything's planned. And it's not even, and then all of a sudden, like, the business is gone. So the business could be gone. Your life can be gone. Everything could be gone in an instant. Like, it shocked me. I thought, business could sometimes take a little while before it can start to go down. No, this guy, like in a day, like in a morning, I was talking to one of the employee, it's gone. Like, it was the same thing. So the point is that once we start to realize that it's all impermanent, like, what are we going to do with this beautiful life? What are we going to do with this? Yeah, with this game. So I just wanted to share with you, first off, like, I think we've established that there's a drift, and it could be things that we're addicted. Like I said, it could be even like porn. It could be a lot of different things, or alcohol, that are actually diminishing our power to make good decisions, or our power to work on things that matters, which is, I believe, serving other people with the gifts that we have. So how do we stop the drift? First off, like, I think this is an example for me right now to speak to you, is that I decided that I would not let my emotion dictate my actions. And so how many times are we letting our emotions, and we say, I don't feel like it. I didn't feel like it. And we let these emotions dictate how life is going to go. And then what we realize is that this drift, this is unconscious. When we're saying, I don't feel like it, we're basically letting the thoughts that are in our subconscious mind dictate our life. And I can explain that even further. I'm doing an event called The Drift, and it's going to help all the people to finally stop the drift. And we got to be aware of it. That's the first thing. So I'll show you a little bit about what is the drift cycle, so you have a visual. So here you go. Hold on 1 minute. So I think you're going to see it, the opponent. And actually, I'm just going to talk to you about something else. a big drift part is the tech that we live in. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a lot of just the fact that we're getting so distracted by our technology is impacting our productivity. There's so much noise. There's too much noise. It's crazy. Like, it's not fun at all. Like, we barely work every day, 2.3 hours of work per day. Like, we're constantly being disturbed by disruptions, and we let that because this is controlling us, as opposed to just putting in a box. I was actually hearing someone today, he said that he put that in a safe from midnight to 12 because there's so much distraction, there's so much noise, and we're basically living life of other people by acting on the inbox of other people instead of our own work. And there's ways, again, to stop that, but it's just to show you how crazy that is. So this is the drift cycle. First off, big opponent, right? So this is the opponent. We know what that is. It could be our distractions, our fears. What else? Insecurities, fear of criticism, fear of failure, addictions of, like I said, like the things that we must have, like the excuses. We let excuses drive the show and our subconscious. So the drift is unconscious, because we just don't realize it until one day we just realize, hey, you know what? It's been 10 years and that big dream that I had did not happen. And now I feel like I'm too old, and I'm letting this little voice, that opponent voice, take the control. We got to stop this. And so we realize that's the third step, and then really making a decision. And I think most people don't know how to make a decision, because the problem with most of the decisions that we make is that we wait until something on the outside is gonna happen. And until this thing is happening, which will never happen until we make a decision. So I don't know if you're like me, but my mind is beautiful and extraordinary, and like yours, meaning like really disturbing. I can find excuses all the time. I can find reasons why I can go right, or I can go left. It's unbelievable. Like, the problem is until I make a decision, I will be just drifting, and I'll be just actually stand still. I'm just not even moving. So I'm constantly just thinking about the reasons why I should go here or I should go there, and then I stay stuck because I haven't made a decision. And usually the reason why we don't make a decision is because we're waiting for something on the outside to change, but it's never going to happen. Here's what I'm going to tell you. The one thing that you need to do is to change your identity. This is what I just did right now by making this video, by saying I'm not going to be the person, my identity, the way that I think, the way that I feel, the way that I act. If I'm of service, and if I'm creating this video, I'm going to act differently. I'm going to think differently. I'm going to feel differently. And so I'm becoming someone new. And so who you're being is exactly what you're seeing in your environment. So that's the thing. I'm going to repeat that. Who you're being is what you're seeing. So imagine you have a mirror, and the mirror is in front of you, and you're just expecting your image to have a smile, and you're not smiling. So the question is, what do you need to do in order to see you smile on the outside? You got to smile, right? It's because most of us, we're just kind of waiting for the image to change, and we're waiting for a smile without realizing that we need to smile, because who we're being is what we're seeing. So that's the decision. It's the decision to say, hey, you know what? I want to see a smile here. I'm going to smile. I want to have someone in my life that's positive. Well, who do I need to be? Positive. I want to have a lot of blessings in my life. Who do I need to become? Someone that's giving. I had this conversation with a client today. You got to become that person now, not wait for the things to change. So this is why decision is very important. And then correction is when you start to align that decision with everything that you're thinking, all your feelings, which is your emotional inside you, that's your subconscious mind, and you got to repeat that with constant spaced repetition in order to change it. It's like going to the gym. It's not by thinking one way, one time, that things are going to change. You're going to have to practice that. I called it the valley of change. It's like being on a peak, and then you're looking at the other peak, and you want to go there, but what's required is that you got to go down. And then you haven't been there yet. It's the unknown. It's very scary. And then you have all the doubts. The opponent is strong. Like all the reasons, the excuses, they're all there. And it doesn't feel good because it's not familiar. And you want to change. And it feels very difficult. But every day, you're going to be that person that's actually climbing the new mountain. And it requires sometimes new equipment, right? Like imagine you're going from a mountain that has no snow. Now you're going to a new mountain and the mountain has snow. So now you have to have boots. You have to have the whatever they call it. You got to have new equipment with you, new skills, learn to do new things and act like that person right now. So this is so important. That's how we stop the drift. And the drift could be a decade, and then you realize maybe someone's going to say, you have only 5 years to live or less. Or you could be like my friends, boom, gone like in a minute. So who do you want to be? Have you made that decision? Do you want to stop the drift? I decided I'm going to stop the drift because I can now, with my awareness, hear this insidious voice all the time telling me I'm not good enough yet and this and that, and that's a part of my subconscious. I've realized it takes time to understand your subconscious, and when you know it, this is the beauty, because now you can say, aha, I see you, thank you so much. And the opponent is like the spiritual coach that's just there for you to say, I know your strength. I know your greatness. I'm going to yell at you. I'm going to tell you you're bad or whatever. Just because I know you're good, you're going to do it. Come on. You can do it. That's the opponent. When you start to see the challenge as actually a lesson, just telling you like as a hint, something beautiful is about to happen. Something amazing. Just trust me. And I know it's difficult because I was even like the last few days like in that darkness, and I knew it was the opponent. So here's one thing I can tell you that I've, even today we were talking about it. So in one of my call is that the best way is to execute over your emotion. We talked about it. That's the simplest way. And to serve other people. When you serve other people, you're going to switch instantly that bad feeling emotion. And then you rise and you have this new identity. That's so, so important. The new identity that is required for you to climb that new mountain. And here's something, again, that I've read today, which is really interesting. I don't know if you knew, but when you're climbing the Mount Everest, you're not just going to the Mount Everest in one shot. What it takes is that you go to the base camp and you acclimatize yourself to this new level. And not only that, after that, you go to base camp 2, and then you go back to base camp 1, and then you go back to 2 and 3, and then 2 and 1. You could do that for weeks. So what does that mean? I've realized this is interesting because the Everest, if you use this analogy as your biggest, most beautiful goal, the Everest, you just know that you got to go do back and forth. So what's the back and forth? The back and forth is, a challenge. The back and forth is a setback. And then instead of saying, oh my God, I'm bad, or I'm this, I'm that, which you're creating an identity like this, which could start to make you drift if you tell yourself too much of that. That's subconscious reprogramming that I'm telling you a little bit. The point is that you're going to have setbacks, and if you know that those setbacks, like the Everest, are just your preparation. It's just a preparation. You're getting ready. You're getting more strength. You're expanding your capacity. You're expanding your vessel to hold more, to be that person that on top of the Everest, there's no oxygen. So you have to, they call it the death valley, or the valley of death, whatever it's called. But the point is that if you're not acclimatized, you're going to die. So all of these failures, all of these challenges that we have, all the drift that we can notice are just preparation for us for something that's even bigger than us. And if you remember the story that I told you about my friend, like how many people are going to attend your celebration of life? If you do a good job, I believe, and the best way to get out of being depressed, to get out of the drift, is to serve other people and not let your emotion win over you, and not let external circumstances dictate the type of decision you're going to make. And it requires awareness. It requires an understanding of your mind. And that's what I do. And that's what I'm so blessed. I'm feeling so grateful that I at least have the awareness of how my mind works. And it's difficult at times. So here's the thing. I just want to verify if I've talked about everything I promised. The drift, we know the drift cycle. Hidden forces that are pulling you off course. It's all in your subconscious mind. It's your paradigms, your sets of habits. And how you can reclaim that alignment is by simply doing pretty much the opposite. I guess that's why it's called the opponent, right? Like do the opposite. Do the opposite of what failures like to do. The failures like to have excuses. Success doesn't have any excuses. So I hope it serves you. I'm glad I did that for me expressing everything that I've learned lately. If you want to know more about how to stop the drift, I'm going to do an event. Stay tuned for that. It's going to be very powerful. It's going to be about an hour, and we're going to just go into identifying what's really causing my drift and where am I drifting in my life? How can I change that? Because for me, the drift is kind of losing your life day by day instead of feeling alive and having a mission that's worth playing, that's worth living. So that's it for me. Enjoy the rest of your day wherever you're at. Stop drifting, and you got this. And stay tuned for how to stop drifting. Cheers, guys.